Warning: if you keep believing what society told you about women, you will fail. Not just once, over and over again. You'll waste years chasing love the wrong way, only to end up confused, rejected, or left for someone you thought was less than you. That's the nightmare nobody talks about. You try to be the perfect guy, the reliable, sweet, always available man. And yet, she gets bored, drifts away, or chooses the guy who barely tries. And deep down, that terrifies you. Because if doing everything right still isn't enough, what chance do you really have? Let me be brutally honest. Women don't think the way you were taught to believe. They don't fall in love with logic, with lists, or with some Hollywood version of romance. Attraction doesn't follow rules. It doesn't reward effort. And it doesn't care how many flowers you buy or how many doors you hold open. And that's why you feel stuck, because you've been playing the wrong game with the wrong instructions. But here's the twist. Once you see the truth, once you understand how female psychology really works, you'll realize women aren't mysterious at all. In fact, they're predictable in ways you never imagined. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll learn the hidden rules that decide whether she desires you, ignores you, or forgets you ever existed. Most men have been sold a lie about women. Movies told you being the sweet guy wins her heart. Rom-coms promised that persistence pays off. Dating coaches fed you tricks and lines like shortcuts to attraction. But here you are, still confused, rejected, or replaced by a man you thought had nothing special. That frustration cuts deep. It makes you wonder if you'll ever understand women at all. Here's the harsh truth. Women aren't analyzing you the way you analyze them. They're not decoding your every move with their friends. You're obsessing over emojis, overthinking her tone, running mental detective work while she's sprawled on the couch watching Netflix. Women live in the moment. They react to how they feel right then. And those feelings shift with 1,000 variables you don't control. I learned this young. In college, I planned the perfect approach for a girl I thought was out of my league. I tracked her habits, memorized her schedule, even knew which books she read. When I finally spoke to her, it fell flat. Her cat was sick. 2 weeks later, I bumped into her at a party, blurted something dumb about the music being too loud, and we clicked. We dated for 2 years. Why? Timing, her mood, the moment. Not my rehearsed words. That's the point. Women's emotions are like weather. You don't change it, you adapt to it. But men keep thinking the right job, the right line, or the right look will make the sun shine forever. It doesn't. And here's the twist. Even women can't fully explain why they choose who they choose. Ask her, and she'll list reasons that sound rational. But the real answer is always the same. She felt something first, then built the story after. Emotion comes before explanation. Always. That's why you can't logic your way into her heart. You can't pitch yourself like a resume or PowerPoint. I'm reliable. I have a good job. My mom says I'm handsome. None of that matters if she doesn't feel it. Women think they know what they want. Tall, ambitious, funny. But they fall for the guy who breaks every rule, yet sparks a reaction inside them. And here's where men get crushed. They take women at their word. She says she wants a nice guy, so you smother her with kindness. You never miss a detail. You open every door. You buy so many flowers the florist knows you by name. Then, she walks off with the man who barely remembered her birthday. Why? Because saying and feeling are two different languages. If you don't learn the difference, you'll keep losing. The cruel truth? Women aren't drawn to men who need them. The more you crave her validation, the weaker you look. Your attractiveness shrinks as your neediness grows. But most men orbit women like satellites, canceling plans, reshaping their identity, making her the center of their universe. And she loses interest because predictable kills desire. What women crave is not comfort, it's emotion, mystery, a spark of unpredictability. That's why they stay hooked on men who frustrate them, challenge them, make them laugh, even confuse them. Because those men make them feel alive. The perfect guy who never disagrees, who never surprises, who never creates tension, he makes her feel nothing, and nothing is fatal in attraction. If men talk to share facts, women talk to share feelings. That's the first rule you need to tattoo into your brain. When she tells you about her day, about how her boss snapped at her, or how her friend didn't call back, she's not asking for your solution. She's asking for your presence. She wants you to hear her, to understand how she feels, not to fix her life like a mechanic. You tell her, just quit that job, or just talk to your friend. What she hears is, your emotions don't matter, and nothing kills connection faster than a man who treats feelings like problems to solve. Women speak in layers. They use tone, pauses, even silence to say what words don't. When she says, "I'm fine," half the time it means she's not fine at all. When she says, "I don't care where we eat," she probably cares a lot. When she says, "We need to talk," it might mean the relationship is hanging by a thread. She isn't lying. She's communicating in a code she assumes you understand, because other women do. They're raised to read between the lines. Men, we need subtitles, and it doesn't stop at communication. Female sexuality runs on a completely different engine. Men are like switches, on or off. Women are like complex soundboards with 100 dials. The smallest thing shifts desire. Lighting, mood, stress, the way you spoke to her 3 hours ago, it all matters. That's why one day she can't keep her hands off you, and the next, she's distant, even if you did nothing differently. Her sexuality is responsive, not automatic. For you, attraction sparks instantly. For her, it needs context. It needs the right environment. That's why women can go months without craving sex when they're single. But in a relationship filled with emotional fire, they can want it every day. It's not about raw physical need. It's about feeling safe, excited, and emotionally charged. If you focus only on the physical, you miss the real switch. And when you miss it, her desire dis. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Women are drawn to men other women want. It's called pre-selection. If no woman is interested in you, she wonders what's wrong. If other women show interest, you suddenly look more valuable. Think of restaurants. An empty one feels risky. A packed one must be good. Attraction works the same way. That's why men in relationships suddenly get more attention. They've been validated by another woman's choice. And there's another layer, retroactive jealousy. A woman may not have cared about you yesterday, but the moment she feels she might lose you to another woman, to your busy schedule, to your independence, her interest spikes. Loss creates urgency. Scarcity creates value. The guy who's always available, always free, always orbiting her. He's safe, but forgettable. The man who has his own life, his own options, who isn't always reachable. He becomes irresistible. I lived this myself. I once dated a woman who barely noticed me at first. She was cold, distant, uninterested. I got tired of chasing, so I stopped, focused on my own life, started seeing other people, and for the first time, I wasn't available to her. Suddenly, my phone lit up. "Where are you?" "Who are you with?" "Why didn't you answer?" The less I needed her, the more she wanted me. I wasn't playing games. I had moved on. But that's exactly why she came running back. It's brutal, but simple. Value rises with scarcity. Women aren't drawn to what they can have on demand. They're drawn to what feels rare, what feels uncertain, what feels edblif. And until you understand that, you'll keep wondering why she chases the guy who barely tries, while she ignores the man who does everything right. If you want to stop being the man women overlook and start being the one they chase, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel gives you the unfiltered truth about attraction most men will never hear. Don't wait. Your next move decides your value. The modern woman lives with two voices inside her. One voice is society's. It tells her to be strong, independent, and never need a man. The other voice is nature's. It pulls her towards strength, confidence, and masculine leadership. This clash makes dating today chaotic. She says she wants a sensitive man who opens up, but her attraction spikes when she's around the man who stays calm under pressure. She says she wants equality in relationships, but she lights up when she's with a man who takes charge. It's not that she's lying. It's that she's conflicted between cultural programming and biological instinct. And if that wasn't enough, social media has completely scrambled her psychology. Think about it. Every woman now has instant access to hundreds of men at her fingertips. A quick scroll, a few likes, a flood of attention. Validation has never been this easy. And here's the problem. That endless validation distorts reality. An average woman starts believing she deserves an above-average man simply because those men drop fire emojis on her photos. But attention is not commitment. Just because he taps like doesn't mean he'll show up, invest, or love her. Yet her brain doesn't separate the two. Attention feels like attraction, and attraction feels like entitlement. This creates inflation in the dating market. Women overestimate their value because the supply of attention feels endless. Men, meanwhile, feel invisible unless they stand out. That imbalance leads to frustration on both sides. Here's the next uncomfortable truth. Women don't judge you only by what you are right now. They judge you by what they believe you could be. But the catch is, their judgment isn't based on logic or measurable achievements. It's based on emotion. A broke musician who makes her feel alive seems like he's full of potential. A stable accountant who bores her feels like a dead end. It's not about the money or the career. It's about the emotional projection. Does life with you feel like an adventure, or does it feel like settling? Women also deceive themselves in relationships. She'll stay with a man who clearly doesn't want commitment, convincing herself he'll change. She'll ignore red flags so obvious her friends are screaming at her. Why? Because she projects her own feelings onto him. If she feels deeply, she assumes he must feel the same. If she's dreaming about the future, she assumes he is too. That projection breaks more hearts than betrayal ever could. And then we get to hypergamy, the reality most men hate hearing. Women date across or up, rarely down. The female doctor doesn't want the male nurse. The CEO doesn't want the secretary. It's not conscious snobbery. It's hardwired biology. Women are drawn to men who rank above them in some hierarchy. Status, success, intelligence, strength. That's why successful women complain they can't find good men. And there are good men, just not ones above them. Then comes the wall. Controversial, but real. A woman's peak attractiveness comes earlier than a man's. At 23, she has more options than she'll ever have again. At 23, most men are just starting out. Fast forward a decade. At 30, if a man has built himself up, his options explode. For women, they shrink. That mismatch creates heartbreak. In her 20s, she ignores good men while waiting for perfect. In her 30s, her leverage fades, but now she's ready to settle down. It's cruel math, but reality doesn't care about fairness. On top of that, women run on emotional memory. They don't remember the details of what you said, only how you made them feel. You can win an argument with flawless logic, but if you made her feel small, you lost. You can babble nonsense, but if it lifts her emotions, you win. That's why women stay with men who seem irrational choices from the outside, because those men know how to make them feel something worth staying for. And here's the kicker. Women want commitment from the men least willing to give it. The more eager you are to settle down, the less attractive you look. But the man who resists, who must be convinced, who chooses carefully, suddenly he's a prize. Men think eagerness is attractive. To women, eagerness signals low value. High-value men have options, and options make them careful. That's also why the friend zone exists. It's not always cruel. It's psychological. She enjoys your attention, your support, even your generosity. But she doesn't feel the spark. So you become her emotional crutch without the reward of romance. She doesn't see the problem because she told you she just wanted friendship. But you keep giving her the benefits of a boyfriend without being one. It's not malicious. It's simply how female psychology compartmentalizes relationships. Rejection cuts differently for men and women. When a man gets rejected, it carves itself into his memory. He replays it. He remembers the sting, and it shapes his identity. Women don't process rejection that way. They rewrite the story. Instead of, "I wasn't good enough," it becomes, "He wasn't ready. The timing was wrong. We weren't compatible." This framing protects her self-esteem, but it also keeps her from learning. She doesn't change her approach because in her mind, she never really got rejected at all. Then there's the part that blows most men's minds: the dual mating strategy. Women are attracted to different men for different reasons. The wild, exciting guy for sex, the stable, dependable man for security. In a perfect world, both exist in one person, but that's rare. So she splits the roles across time. In her 20s, she chases excitement, burns with passion, gets addicted to chaos. In her 30s, she looks for stability, someone safe to build with. Men call it having fun with bad boys, then settling for good guys. Women call it growing up. But either way, the pattern is undeniable. And when she's done, she's done. Women have a brutal ability to rewrite history. Once she decides the relationship is over, her brain changes the script. The happy moments get minimized. The bad moments get amplified. She convinces herself it was always doomed, even if she once swore you were her everything. For men, that's devastating. How can she say she never loved me? We were so happy. But for her, it's a survival mechanism. It's how she moves on without breaking. Pregnancy shifts her psychology even more dramatically. The man who was once her center becomes secondary overnight. Her brain rewires to focus entirely on the baby. It's not that she chooses the child over you. It's that evolution hijacks her system to ensure survival. Many relationships crumble during this phase because men don't understand what just happened. They think she doesn't care anymore. In reality, her entire operating system has been rewritten by biology. And while we're being honest, let's talk about female competition. Men compete openly. Who's stronger? Who's richer? Who's more dominant? Women compete in the shadows. Their battlefield is social reputation. Their weapons are subtle digs, whispers, and calculated smiles. When she says, "She's nice, but..." that's not kindness. That's competition disguised as politeness. They've been training at this since childhood, and they're ruthless. But competition isn't just between women. It extends to her entire group. A woman's choices are deeply influenced by her circle. If her friends hate you, your relationship is on borrowed time. If her mother disapproves, you're fighting uphill. A man can ignore his buddy's opinions. A woman rarely can. Social approval weighs heavily. That's why even a great connection can collapse if her tribe refuses to support it. Then there's security. Men assume security means money, a nice house, a steady job. That's physical security. What women really crave is emotional security. She wants to know you won't crumble when life hits hard, that you can handle her storms without breaking, that you're solid, calm, unwakable. A broke man with backbone feels safer to her than a rich man who falls apart under stress. Yet men keep focusing on their wallets instead of their spine. And when it comes to loyalty, women are unmatched until they're not. When she's in love, she'll defend you against the world. She'll forgive mistakes, stand by your side, fight for you. But once that emotional switch flips off, it's permanent. She won't come back, no matter what you do. Men forgive and forget. Women forgive, but never forget. And eventually, they stop forgiving too. That's when it's over for good. Here's the ultimate paradox. Women want to surrender, but only to someone strong enough to handle them. They push, they test, they challenge, not because they want to dominate, but because they want to know if you can lead without breaking, protect without controlling, and stay steady without being cold. Most men fail. Some collapse under the pressure. Others overcompensate and become tyrants. Both extremes kill attraction. The rare man who can stand strong but gentle, firm but calm. That's the man she'll never let go of. And in today's dating market, that rare man becomes even harder to find. Because women now live in a state of choice paralysis. Too many options, too much attention, too many swipes. She could be with a good man, but what if a better one is one click away? This endless buffet of choices doesn't make her happier. It makes her anxious. She can't settle because she's haunted by the idea that something better might be waiting. Age hits women and men differently, and pretending otherwise doesn't change the truth. At 20, a woman feels like she has forever. At 25, she still believes time is on her side. By 28, panic creeps in. 30 hits like a thunderstorm, and suddenly, she's staring at her reflection, wondering if she waited too long. At 32, the desperation shows. By 35, she either accepts reality or hides from it in denial. The same woman who rejected good men at 25 is now lowering her standards, not because she's grown wiser, but because her options have shrunk. Scarcity changes everything. That's the cruel arithmetic of the dating market. A young woman peaks early, holding more power and options than she ever will again. A young man, meanwhile, is just starting the climb. He has little status, little money, little leverage, but give him 10 years. By 35, if he's built himself, his value skyrockets. He now has more options than ever, while she has fewer. This mismatch fuels frustration on both sides, yet it's written into biology and reinforced by society. But here's where men make their biggest mistake. They think women can be convinced into attraction. They think a logical argument, a fat paycheck, or flawless behavior will create desire. It won't. Attraction isn't a negotiation. It's not something you earn like a promotion. It's not a reward for effort. It's a spark triggered by psychology and biology, not by reason. You can't buy it. You can't beg for it. You can't force it. It's either there or it isn't. And here's the kicker most men never grasp. Women don't remember the details. They remember the feelings. They don't hold on to the exact words you said. They hold on to how those words made them feel. You could present the most airtight case for why you're perfect for her. And if she feels nothing, you've already lost. But you could stumble, ramble, even talk nonsense. And if she feels excitement, joy, or passion in your presence, you've already won. Logic loses to emotion every time. That's why so many men get bitter. They think women are complicated, unfair, impossible to understand. But they're not impossible. They're different. And once you stop projecting your male logic onto them, everything becomes clear. You stop getting angry when she acts in ways that don't make sense. You stop wasting time trying to fit square pegs into round holes. You finally see the rules of the game for what they are. And here's the final revelation. You can't make her want you. Not with money, not with kindness, not with patience. You can only become the kind of man who naturally sparks attraction. A man with backbone. A man who isn't desperate. A man who challenges, excites, and steadies her all at once. A man who understands that her desire isn't earned, it's awakened. Most men will never figure this out. They'll keep doing what doesn't work, keep getting frustrated, keep blaming women for being complicated. But the truth is simple. Women aren't broken. They're just different. And that difference is what makes the whole dance worth playing. Because once you see the game clearly, you get to choose. Do you play it? Do you bend it? Or do you walk away entirely? At least this time, you'll know the rules. So here's the choice. Keep living in confusion, or open your eyes and finally see the truth. Because once you understand female psychology, dating stops being a mystery. It becomes a game you know how to play, and the power shifts back into your hands. If this hit you hard, good. That means you finally saw the truth most men will never face. But knowing the rules is just step one. The real power comes from learning how to play them. So here's what I want you to do. Subscribe right now so you don't miss the next breakdown. Drop a comment below and tell me which part opened your eyes the most. And if you know a friend who keeps getting ghosted, rejected, or trapped in the friend zone, share this with him. Stop letting men you care about stay blind while women run circles around them. The truth is out here, and this channel is where you'll get it raw, unfiltered, and real. Hit subscribe, comment, and share, because this game doesn't wait, and neither should you.